ultimately, I think the idea is we'll talk about the cause, like I mentioned, what that's all about, what started, how did it start, and what's it doing, right? I think that's, to me, the power of this whole thing is like, why do you have this Project Hoeppner? What is behind that? So
we kind of were wondering, what to say, and we were like, well, how much time are we going to have? Because it's only been 3 years or less than 3 years, and it's changed because the more we do, the more we know, and it's yeah.
So our son Paul died by suicide almost 3 years ago, and we didn't know. He was 17, and one night we're switching through, we're watching the baseball playoffs and Harry Potter, and the next day he's gone, right? So as a result, we created Project Hoeppner. Originally, our goal was to get teens to say they need help and to have their loved ones hear it. We don't know if Paul asked for help and we didn't hear it, I mean, he certainly never said, I need help, but he's a teenager, right? So again, that was our initial cause, looking to kind of bring meaning to his death and his life. One thing we realized, jumping any time, is that help is hard to find, right? For kids and for adults, it's hard to find.
So if the logo on our for Project Hoeppner is a speech bubble with "I need help," because again, Paul never said he needed help, at least not that we heard, and so kids have said to their parents, and parents have called us and said, hey, I just had a conversation with my son or daughter and they said I need to call you, or they said they need help, and what do we do next? And well, we know some counselors, and yeah, we know some counselors, so we called them and they were like, well, I can't get anybody in until 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever. So it's great to have kids say they need help, but there's not a lot of help readily available there. Initially we started off with the shirts, the t-shirts. We were kind of dabbling in that before Paul's death, but since his death we were like working with kids, so it's for kids by kids, and they would give us a word to promote a conversation, to open a door to a difficult conversation. So
this is one.
So this family was the word that the baseball team wanted to put on a shirt, and shortly after the year after Paul's death.
This is Paul's baseball team.
Yes,
that he played
at
with.
Champlain Valley, yeah.
Okay.
So shortly after Paul's death, a boy from St. Albans took his life, and a boy from Mount Mansfield took his life. So we made shirts, and
when they played those teams, they not only wore the shirts, but they gave shirts to the opposing team, again, to start this conversation and realize we're all in this together, we're one family. That was the baseball word family. The softball team chose the word one. We're all one together. So we have a number of different shirts that we make for different groups. We let the kids choose the word typically, and the goal is to promote these conversations, right? To have them talk about Paul's story, our story, how they're feeling, their story, if they need help.
and to be honest.
And to be honest.
Yeah.
So since then, that would sort of kind of still is a pillar of Project Hoeppner, which is promoting conversations, promoting awareness, hopefully promoting prevention for suicide. And another pillar since then
since we found that help is not always available, we have another son, Mark, who is he just graduated from UVM and he studied business, but he's really been studying mindfulness, and he is reading multiple books about meditation. Exactly.
He practices very disciplined, in a very disciplined manner, and so he turned us onto that. That's basically saved his life. That's how he's navigating this grief. And so as it would happen, we had a connection with a group called Inner Explorer. They're a K-12 program that's an in-school program, 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's research-based, and it provides these meditation, mindfulness exercises for kids, again, at a K-12 level. And so our goal is to grant that to every school in Vermont.
Hopefully we can give kids, skills, but also those habits, like brushing your teeth. We brush our teeth every day. If kids can have those skills and those habits to breathe and strategies, so hopefully when they get older and they're going through growth and development and puberty and they're dealing with college and pressures and all this, and they're anxious and depressed,
They've developed
they can draw on that,
coping
yeah.
mechanism
Yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
And the idea of having it, them develop those habits when they're young, our son Mark is inspiring us to practice mindfulness, but it's hard. We're 55 years old. It's really hard to establish those habits when you're, sort of in this culture that is busy, and distracted. And so, the idea of establishing those habits young, and those kids have those strategies, they have those tools, so that maybe not only does their mental health improve, are they more able to handle the stresses, they put a less load on the system, right? And so that domino effect happens, so the kids who are really in crisis get the resources they need, and the others trickle down into different levels where they can self-regulate. Would that have saved Paul's life? We don't know. But why wouldn't we try that?
the studies, as Sue had said, it's evidence-based. The research is phenomenal on it. So why wouldn't we want to do this? You know, it takes 5 to 10 minutes a day, and the teachers just have to log in and press play, and the teachers do it with them. And the studies for this program, Inner Explorer, says disciplinary actions go down, testing scores go up. We have this woman from one school who's been doing it, and she says, usually I have a couple of kids every year that fail my class, and she says, since I've done this, I haven't had anybody fail my class. So, and there's
anecdotal, but
that's
who
yeah,
knows?
that's anecdotal.
It's her thought that it's impactful.
Yeah. So, but specifically for the ride, we have so we're making shirts, as we talked about, and we're making the shirt Ride On for the ride, and these are free. It's if somebody wants to donate, that's great, but that's what we do.
Give them to promote conversations. So.
Yeah, and it's based on a poem. It's from a song. Our son Paul was a rower as well. He rowed in the fall, and he played baseball in the spring, and so we made it for his rowing team. It was Row On. Okay, so this is Ride On. So the poem goes, row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away. There's dawn beyond the light, beyond the night. Sorry. So, ride on. So,
Love it.
yeah. So,
It's got a lot of meaning, 2 words.
yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So the idea of the ride, raising awareness, but how is that? I mean, I guess tell me what is ideal on this ride. What should we be getting out of the ride? Encouraging people to go on this ride to support Project Hoeppner. What is it you want people to take away when they're done going on this ride? What would be ideal?
So we can talk about Paul, and we can tell everybody that Paul was a good kid, and he wasn't on any list. He didn't have any behaviors. He was good in school. He was involved in sports, and he had friends, and he wasn't on any list. So it tells us somebody out there is struggling. And so what do I want to get out of it, or what do we want to get out of it? We just want that person that's struggling to be honest and genuine and to ask for help.
Yeah, I think as a society we do really well at identifying high risk, what we call high risk kids, people, and there are a lot of services and supports for those. But unfortunately, there are also people who don't fall into any of those categories, you know, and they're falling through the cracks, and Paul was one of them. And so we want people to use our story. We're handing our story, Paul's story, so that
They can use it as a door to open up to a difficult conversation.
right.
So
Where would they go for that information right now to just learn about Project Hoeppner? What would they?
So we have a website. It's www.projecthoeppner.com. It tells a lot about our story. It talks about our outreach. We manage it ourselves, so it's not. It may not be up to the minute, up to date, but we do our best. Hopefully, we'll put a link on to
the ride.
for the ride, right, to Wilkins, and but there's a lot of information there in terms of our story and our outreach. So,
Tell me just briefly a little bit about Paul.
Paul was that kid who would help all other kids. You know, I remember in 6th grade we talked to his. You know, we had the first introduction to the teachers in the classroom, and we said, you know, how does Paul do? You know, he marches to his own drummer. He was a different kid, and he did things his own way, and we said, is he okay socially? And they thought, are we talking about the same kid? Paul's the first student to reach out to kids who need help. He's the leader who kids who are struggling socially, academically, they go to, and he helps them. So he was an athlete.
I'll tell a story. One of my favorite stories of Paul is the summer before his death. He did this thing called Atlantic Challenge, where he was on Team USA, where they went to Ireland and they rowed these gantry bays or pilot gigs, big boats. When Paul first started talking about rowing, we were a little concerned because he's not a great swimmer.
An excellent rower.
Yeah. So, but these are big boats. These are those boats that in the olden days they would take out to save people. They all wore life jackets and stuff. But so we went over, and we met some of the teammates, and there was a couple older women that were on the team as well, and very I'm going to say sister-like. They mentored Paul and all that type of stuff. So we flew back and we met them, and so one of the women gets off and she has a tattoo, and I'm like, uh-oh. So when in Ireland, do as the Irish do. So she came back with this tattoo. So we get out into the parking lot.
You thought Paul would have gotten a tattoo.
I thought he had got a tattoo. It's like, come, let me see your arms. So in the parking lot, he takes off his shirts, like he had 2 shirts on and a vest, and he starts flexing, showing me his muscles because he'd been working out so hard. No tattoos. So it was just a great moment that right in the middle of the parking lot, he's taking off his shirts, and so he was a good guy.
Yeah, he was a light. He was a light in people's life. You know, after he died. We met a lot of his friends that we didn't know, right? So, everybody in the community school, and then when they go to high school, it's a regional high school, so we didn't know a lot of his friends, but they reached out to us after he died, and friend after friend said, Paul was my best friend. He was my best friend, and he was the kid who, when I was having a bad day, would give me a high five in the hall, fist pump me on the way, yell out the bus, hey man, see in French class. He was that light. So we didn't know. We didn't know that he carried so much darkness. He was a good kid.
Sounds like it. Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope that the ride fulfills some of this purpose, right? And so we'll do everything we can on our end to make sure that.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're grateful to be a part of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
We're
Yeah.
grateful. Thank you for sharing this story with us so we can help other people understand a little bit, right? And then maybe open the door. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Thank you, guys.